Where do we begin? We begin on another rainy, gloomy day where slugs are propagating and eating my garden, and it's sort of annoying and exhausting. I am headed down to the lower garden to see how all the cabbages are doing and pick maybe a couple for my first batch of sauerkraut. I've been trying to get to this for a month because we are out of sauerkraut and my adorable children love it so much. Finley almost cried when we ran out and didn't have more. He is lovely, but emotional sometimes. You're lucky if you live in a place without slugs. However, I know everywhere has their pest, and I watch other homesteaders on Instagram and YouTube struggle with other pests where I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe slugs aren't so bad. But you know, we all got our hurdles no matter what climate we live in. Of nasty creatures that we have to try to keep off of our stuff. Anyway, I'm going to show you the havoc they're wreaking right now. Look at that one. That is too much rain plus slug and slug slime that just starts rotting things. That was a green cabbage. Can you even tell that was a green cabbage? No. Anyway, here, see these leaves? Yes, that's slugs. But luckily, cabbages, generally, if you can keep those slugs off of them long enough, or the slugs don't usually really take off until the fall, and when it gets wet, you got these beautiful tight heads that they can't get inside of, hopefully. Here's all my purple cabbages. Generally, my purple cabbages do better with slugs, like purple cauliflower, purple kale. They just don't like go for the purple things as much. However, this fall has been so wet and rainy. And it's like when that happens, all bets are off, because it's like wet and rainy is slug heaven, slug reproductive heaven. And so yeah, they've gone after my purple cabbages this year. In the past, not so much. It's hard to ever really know. Just always guessing as a farmer. You think you got it figured out, and then Mother Nature says, oh, that's funny. Joke's on you. So yeah, I am here to get mostly, I think, one more red cabbage for sauerkraut. And because I actually harvested all the ones that were in the high tunnel, because they were further along, obviously, and starting to like crack open, which you want to harvest before that happens. So I have quite a few already, but I just wanted one more red. So we prefer sauerkraut made from red cabbages mostly, and carrots and beets. That's just how we like it. I am not as into sauerkraut made primarily with green cabbage. I'll mix a little green cabbage in there, but it does turn out different. It's amazing. And it has a different flavor, and my family just in general isn't into it, and neither am I. So that's what we do. As you can see, I grew more green cabbages this year than normal. Partly that's because Finley just loves green cabbages raw, and those should store okay in the root cellar for a while. And then I mostly grow purple cabbages. You know, anomalous situations that don't make sense to me. There's a cabbage down here that is being attacked by slugs more. See? And it's really big. So I'd like to get to it before they decimate it. Yeah. There we go. Okay, now I'll bring a few of these up to the goaties. These nice ones. I don't know, the goats don't like it when the slugs are on their food. As Ivan likes to say, I have fancy goats. and they're purebred Nubians, and they are just like more temperamental and sensitive, and like don't want the cabbage. It has slugs on it. Really. There's the cabbage I needed. I'm gonna go grab that really foul thing. I don't even want to touch it. Oh. What the? Excuse my language. What the rotten cabbage? What the heck? Why? I'm gonna throw it over the fence because at this point, rotten stuff is just gonna draw in more slugs. So just get it the heck out of here. Really, I should come in here and get all these nasty. Whoa, explosion. Okay. Oh, who did that? You want to know who did that? Ivan's horses did that. Because the fence is right here. And they just don't even seem bothered by the barbed wire. I've watched Violet just reach on over like it's not even barbed wire. I swear. Ivan thinks my goats are trouble, but his horses are just as much trouble. Oh my God, look at that. That is also a horse. And then the slugs got to it. That is disgusting. Yuck, do you see that nasty slug? Yummy. So this one is up. This one is up. So fence. Oh, that's disgusting. Okay. Headed up our very steep hill. This is how you stay young, folks, and fit. You live on a hill, and then you walk up and down the hill multiple times a day to the garden or whatever. And that is how. It's like why you need to have stairs in your house. So when you get older, to get to the bathroom, you have to go down the stairs. It really does actually keep you younger, fitter, better balance. There's a point where it doesn't work. I understand that, but for now, what is your malfunction? Hey, acorn, basil, I have cabbage. Not that you'll eat it, because you're picky babies. Yeah, how about you, Fern? Feeling picky today? Yeah, you didn't even eat the grain. What do you think? Cabbage? Is that yummy? What do you think? Gonna eat it? No? How about this green? How about this one? How about this one? This one looks nicer, right? No? She's ridiculous. Okay, how about this one? Oh! Oh! Somebody decided to eat it. Your mommy is not as picky as you. Is that yummy? Look at those two cute cuties. Our cat, Muse and Tazzy, love each other. Yeah, you love each other. Oh, what was happening? You thought he was going to attack you? No, you're more likely to attack him. Yeah. So now that it's finally not raining, headed into the kitchen. To make some sauerkraut so my lovely children can get their nutrients, probiotics, all the things. I am making sauerkraut. I already did that small batch of kimchi, but I will be doing many large batches of sauerkraut because the whole family eats it and it lasts all winter and all summer until I can make it now in the fall. So we got to make a lot of it. I have this 5-gallon crock here, and just because mold can grow in sauerkraut, which isn't terrible, at least it doesn't bother me, you just want to sterilize everything. Try to avoid having mold grow on top of your sauerkraut. So the nice thing is if your sauerkraut, you keep the liquid above the organic matter, the vegetable matter, then you can always just scrape the mold off, because the mold only grows on the very top, right? Mold can't grow like down in an oxygen-free environment. So anyway, so I'm putting vinegar in here. Naturally kind of sterilize this. You know, this porous rim can hold, you know, bacteria, mold spores and stuff. Anyway, vinegar is something I use constantly for cleaning and sterilizing. It is my best friend in the homesteading realm. All right, and then I also have these guys. So I had a local potter make me these weights. I bought the crock just, gosh, I don't know, maybe like Sportsman's Warehouse, somewhere like that. And then I had a local potter who does wood-fired pottery make me these super heavy weights. So I'm gonna douse these in vinegar, make sure they're clean, and then they'll be what weighs down all that organic matter. So now what I have to do is just grate up and shred all my cabbage and carrots and beets, and add salt to it and mix it up and pound it a little bit, and I'll just show you that process. So my best friend in the world here, kitchen, is my Cuisinart. So my Cuisinart has this awesome attachment, and then so this one shreds cabbage. You can see it's kind of on a thicker setting right now. See, it has these numbers, and I just sort of look at it here and go, I don't know, that seems pretty good, right? Okay. And then I have the grater one, so I you know, do the cabbage with this guy, and then I grate the carrots and beets. Give it a try and see if I like the thickness of the cabbage. So now I just have to whack up the cabbage in pieces that will fit there. So you'll notice here that this is broken. So this is this little safety device that makes it so when you take this out, it stops. So you can't stick your hand in there and get some fingers pulverized. However, I actually kind of like that it's broken because I can just feed stuff into it as it's going, but it's probably not safe. So I don't know, not a good plan. It just sort of happened, and then I decided I kind of liked it that way. This Cuisinart has been with me a very, very long time now, like a very long time. So yeah, it's definitely cracked and a little funky, but it still works, so I keep going with it. Here we go. Basically, I just whack it in half. Look at that beautiful thing. The cabbage of this size, usually a quarter works great. I'm gonna shove it in that hole. Let's go see. All right. So here we go. And you always push it down with this thing, not your fingers. But yours should have the safety thing connected, so it engages when you push this down, which thus keeps you safe. Anyway, so that is a good size. Just slides in there. Go. Making sauerkraut and other fermented things is really one of the easier things you can do to preserve your crop, and it's probably one of the more nutrient dense ways to preserve your cabbage. Basically, by fermenting it and letting those little bacteria digest your food, you are actually making the nutrients more bioavailable to your body. So it's so good for you. Not to mention that then it also has all of those happy little gut bacteria, probiotics, that are also good for you. And then I can just whoop, and keep going. Once I have a few of these loaded up in there, I'll add some salt. So the ratio is 5 pounds of veggie matter to 3 tablespoons of pickling salt or sea salt. It needs to be a pure salt, no iodine in it, no other additives, and generally sea salt and pickling salt fit that criteria. So this is more than 5 pounds of veggie matter. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some salt in here, mix it up, and then I taste it. And I have just learned the salt that it needs to taste like, how salty it is, to be the right amount. So for you, you're probably going to want to weigh this so it's more accurate until you start getting a feel for it or a taste for it as you do it more and more and more. You just have to understand, I've done this so much, and it's not an exact science. If it's a little bit too, like a little salty, totally fine. You know, if it's a little tiny bit not salty enough, probably fine. This is what makes fermenting pretty easy, I feel like, is that it's very forgiving. And yeah, anyway, here they are. So I mix that salt in, and then I'm gonna add some more salt. So this is a really fine salt. So a lot more of it fits in a tablespoon. Normally I would say just use, you know, a normal salt consistency, not super fine like I have here. I accidentally ordered this, so I'm just using it. But it does mean it can throw off your measurements because it is so fine. So I just use a little less of it. And with this, it's really not as important because I'm going by taste for me. But for you, you're gonna wanna have just a normal salt. That is a pretty good salt consistency. So as you mix it and the salt starts breaking down the cell walls, you are going to see moisture start coming out. So I mixed it up really well, and then I just can really just get your crushing out, frustrations. I really enjoy making sauerkraut. I don't know, it's one of my favorite things to make. So gratifying. because everybody loves it too. That helps. It's just fun, easy, healthy. It's like all the things. Fills my Homestead Mama cup. I'm not sure if you can see that, but moisture is starting to come out of the cabbage. And that's what we want. What we are doing next is grating some beets. So I just harvested a couple. I have a few in the fridge I harvested before. And we'll get those grated up. Oh goodness. Oh, just dropping beets all over the place. Carrots that I got all washed up prior. All right, so as you can see, we have the grater attachment. This one's slightly bigger. If I flipped it over, it would be slightly smaller, so I'm going with the bigger one. Let's look at how beautiful that is. What? Sunset. Is that not a sunset? Love it. Love it. Look at that. Could it be more beautiful? No, it couldn't. So pretty. Just love it. So this is all going in here with the cabbage. So I'm just going to dump all this in. Look at all that beautiful. All that beautiful. Yay. So much color. I'm gonna add more salt to this because once I add more salt to this, it'll start sinking down and compacting, and then I can fit more in here because you gotta maximize. You'll be surprised and actually how this will go down to so much less. And I really like to maximize each batch. So good to start mixing because you want that beet to get all mixed in with the cabbage. So once again, guess where this recipe is? It's in my cookbook, Homestead Kitchen. You can find it at the Homer bookstore, autographed copies, and you can order it online and they'll package up and send you one of the autographed copies, thehomerbookstore.com. So you don't even have to come to Homer to get an autographed copy of our cookbook. We try to keep them in stock there and support our local small bookstore. And they're so cute. They wrap them up so nice, and they're like such a wonderful business and people in town. Yeah, okay. So now, oh my gosh, yep, all that liquid's coming out now. We are happening now. Wow. Look at how much liquid is coming out of this. Straight up, only from the vegetables and the salt. Now I gotta do the carrots. There's a bunch of carrot. Look at that pretty. Dump it in here. Right. Start mixing this in. Look at all that beautiful liquid. That's what you want, but when you compress it, all this liquid comes up to the surface. And that is what will keep oxygen from getting in there. So I am just gonna do a little taste test before I put the weights on. It tastes too salty. That's how I know there's enough salt. I know, silly sauce. Yeah, like I said, it's not exact, but it's really easy to do it exact if you just weigh your veggies after you blitz them up. And yeah, keep that ratio going. So let's put these weights on. Here are the weights. Just go like this. Like this. And then I push it down. Get as much of the liquid above the weights, because this is actually what keeps it from getting funky, the top getting nasty and oxidized. All right, so you always need to have liquid above your veggies and something weighing the veggies down so that the liquid stays above them, or else the top will get really funky and it just won't be the nicest fermentation process. So fresh veggies from the garden are going to have a lot more liquid in them. So if you're buying veggies from the store or ones you've stored for a while yourself, you're going to have to add brine if the liquid does not come up high enough, or if your liquid starts to evaporate through the fermentation process, which often happens. So you can make a brine to pour on top to keep your liquid high enough, basically, to keep this fermenting properly. So your brine ratio is 4 cups of water to 4.5 teaspoons salt. And you ideally heat that all up and then cool it, because you don't want any heat, any of your veggies or your sauerkraut that you're making to be exposed to heat, because that would kill all your lovely bacteria and little creatures that are fermenting your sauerkraut and making it a probiotic heaven. That is how you can keep everything good. And also you could add that brine if your veggies just don't produce enough water right out of the gates. So anyway, you kind of do need to check on this throughout the fermentation process and just make sure there's enough liquid, and make sure no mold is growing on it. You can just scrape it off. If you just see little, it'll often be floating on top of the water, and it's really easy to scoop off. So yeah, anyway, that is how I go about making sauerkraut. So the very last thing you're going to do is, the weights are in there. They're right here. There's liquid above, so I don't need to add brine. I may need to add more brine later to keep that liquid up above the weights. But now all I need to do is basically keep the gunk out of here, things from falling in here, the dust. So just some sort of lid if your fermentation device doesn't have a lid already. So I'm just using this. There's those cool silicone lids that can kind of set on top. So the one thing is you do not want, you want it to be able to bubble, right? It's gonna off gas. So you don't wanna seal it and not have a way for gases to come out. Or you could have, like if it were in a jar, like a jar explode essentially. So you want to have a lid where the gases can kind of seep out. There's for jars, there's special lids you can buy that like don't let air in but let gases come out. There's all kinds of things. So anyway, this is just, me makeshift homestead style. This is what I got and this is what I use. It's best for the fermentation to happen not in too hot of a climate. I know that would maybe be tricky in the tropics. You just work with what you got. But sometimes I'll even slow the fermentation process down by going and putting it in my cool pantry. Like, let's say I know I'm gonna leave for a week, and I just kind of want to slow the fermentation process down so that, it doesn't matter it won't over ferment or hopefully lose too much liquid because it's cooler, and so not as much evaporation, and fermentation is just gonna slow down. But because I actually want this to get done sooner, I'm just gonna keep it here in the house and just in my kitchen. It's gonna ferment and hopefully be done soon. I hope that was fun for you. I actually had a really good time. I had a bad attitude starting out this morning, but the sun's peeking out. I'm gonna go pick up my kiddos, and I got a very big, important project done. So I'm feeling good. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe and like. It really helps us, and share our videos so we can keep making them. Thanks for watching.